to 10-Minute Prophecy, where we go through the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation verse by verse in bite-sized chunks. Thank you for joining us again. We hope that this journey through Bible prophecy has been enlightening, whether you are new to prophecy or have studied prophecy in the past. As always, if you haven't seen the previous presentations, please watch them as each prophecy builds on each other. The link to our playlist is down in the description below. You will also find the video on the non-denominational Protestant biblical prophetic interpretation method that has proven itself over and over again in world events both past, present, and can be relied upon to understand the future. See the link in the description below. Here, after the leopard beast, we see a new power rising in Revelation 13. Starting in verse 11 to 14, it states, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword, and did live." These verses introduce the third major symbol in the prophecy we've been studying, commonly called the 2-horned beast. So, what does this symbol represent? We've already seen that. The dragon represents pagan Rome, and the leopard-like beast represents papal Rome. Both are powerful systems connected to false religious authority. By comparison, it would make sense that this new symbol, the 2-horned beast, also represents a nation or power connected to a major religious system. When we look at the modern world, the only remaining major religious system with global influence is Protestantism. Paganism includes most non-Christian religions across the world and still accounts for over half of the global population. Catholicism, including the Greek Orthodox Church, covers much of traditional Christendom and is widespread globally. This is, as we studied, the leopard-like beast which rises out of the Imperial Roman Empire. Islam, Mohammedanism, while still widespread, no longer plays a leading role in shaping global progress. Also, its role has already been addressed in prophecy, particularly in Revelation 9. That leaves Protestantism, which is the dominant faith of countries leading the world in freedom, knowledge, innovation and power. This makes it a fitting candidate for the symbolism of the 2-horned beast. If this prophecy points to Protestantism, then what nation best represents that religion? There are several well-known Protestant countries in Europe, but as we'll explain later, this symbol doesn't fit any of them. Well, let's look at the identifying marks. When in history does this new power rise, according to prophecy? To answer that, we need to look at the facts already laid out about the previous beast, the leopard-like one. That beast was taken into captivity or killed with the sword, Revelation 13:10, or as verse 3 says, one of its heads was wounded. Right at that time, John sees another beast with 2 horns rising. If, as we've shown, the leopard beast represents the papacy, and its captivity happened when the French temporarily overthrew it in 1798, then that gives us a clear time marker. The phrase "coming up" means this new power was just beginning to emerge and gain influence. So the 2-horned beast must represent a nation or power that was newly rising on the world stage around 1798 after the fall of the papacy, given that it is a world power. Another identifying mark in the prophecy is found when John says, "He had 2 horns like a lamb." Why mention like a lamb? Why not just say 2 horns? It must be to highlight this power's character, not only that it appears gentle and harmless, but also that it's young. Lambs have small, newly growing horns, symbolizing a nation just starting to rise. Notice also that it rises out of the earth. That means that it arises in an area with little population as compared to the other powers which arose out of the sea. Remember, earlier prophecies point to the year 1798, so this power should start to rise around the time of the papal fall. This power would still be in its youth. So which nation was beginning to gain influence around then, but was still young? It wasn't England, France, Russia, or any European country. Who is this power? It is the United States. It arose miraculously and gained world domination both financially and militarily in a very short time. These facts are important when we look at the prophecy being discussed. If you look at the 50-year period around 1798, 21 governments completely disappeared and only 3 new ones were formed. 5 countries actually lost territory instead of gaining it. Only 5 nations around the then-known world expanded their territory at all. And the one that gained the most added just over 500,000 square miles. In contrast, looking outside of Europe and other countries, the United States gained nearly 2 million square miles. That means the US added more land, about 1.4 million square miles, than any other country during that time, and over 800,000 square miles more than all the other nations combined. Is there any doubt which country was clearly rising during this time period? It's clear that only the United States fits the prophecy's timeline and description. Once the nation laid its foundation in 1776, by declaring independence from England, it began to rise. And as the papacy fell in 1798, the United States grew in territory and influence. Here we see that the United States is the world power that is mentioned in prophecy, and it arose with unbelievable peace, power and prosperity due to its Protestant religious roots. There are more identifying marks. Two-horned beast. The two-horned beast represents a nation with a republican form of government. We know this because there are no crowns on its head or horns. Crowns symbolize kings or monarchies in prophecy, so the lack of crowns suggests that this government doesn't have a king or ruler with absolute power. Instead, the authority rests with the people. It is a republic with church and state powers that are separate, which is distinctly from Protestant roots. Although the founding fathers were influenced by Christianity, it was not to be a state religion, and it was to have freedom of religion because they were well aware of the results of being a church-state power represented by the papacy. They did not want the new nation to be a man-made theocracy with a religious figurehead to be in control of people's conscience. In verse 14, it shows that the people are directly involved in national decisions. Again, another Protestant identifying mark by telling those who live on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. In a monarchy, important decisions wouldn't typically be put in a language of suggestion, as seen here the word should. In a monarchy, it would be a decree to make and image to the beast. This clearly shows a system where the people have the power, exactly how the US government works. No other country fits this description, only the United States, making it a strong match for the symbol in this prophecy. The two-horned beast, which is the United States, has a government with a Protestant, or at least non-Catholic, religious background. Earlier, it was shown that the first beast symbolizes the papacy. Revelation says the two-horned beast causes people to worship the first beast. But in Catholic countries, people already follow the papacy voluntarily. There's no need for the government to force them. The fact that this second beast has to cause people to worship the first one shows that its people don't naturally follow Catholicism. This shows that the dominant religion is Protestantism, since in the Christian world the main divide in Christianity is Catholic and Protestant. The United States is historically a Protestant nation and fits this description well. Once again, the prophecy clearly points to the United States. The voice of the dragon. Up to this point, the prophecy has described many admirable traits of this power. But then comes a troubling statement. He spoke like a dragon. Before we explore what that means, let's quickly review the identifying marks of the lamb-like beast. It has a government that is different from the political and religious powers of the old world. It arises in the Western Hemisphere. Though started after its independence in 1776, it begins to gain influence after the year 1798. It rises peacefully, not through war or conquest. Its growth is rapid and remarkable, like watching something visibly grow before your eyes. It has a republican form of government, which means it has separation of church and state. It has Protestant values without being a Protestant theocracy. It is based on 2 core principles that are fair, peaceful and gentle, like a lamb. And finally, its prophetic role of being a world power begins after the fall of the papacy in 1798, and it gains incredible technological, financial, political and military world power. All 9 of these characteristics match the United States exactly. No other nation in the world fits all of them. Today, when we look at the United States, we see a power that in a short time invented most of the world's technological innovations, gained financial power, given now the US dollar is the world currency, gained political and military might that is unmatched in the world, just like the pagan powers and the Catholic power before it. It is clear the two-horned beast in Revelation 13:11 can only represent the United States of America. After describing this power as having a gentle, lamb-like appearance, the prophet immediately adds, "But he spoke like a dragon." In prophecy, the dragon represents a fierce enemy of God's people, a symbol of violent persecution. The leopard-like beast, the papacy, that came after the dragon, which is pagan Rome, persecuted Christians for 1,260 years, leading to the deaths of millions. Now this third beast, the one with 2 horns, speaks like the dragon, revealing its true nature. As the saying goes, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, meaning its words reveal what's really inside. Given the fact that it speaks like the dragon, this shows that the United States has a similar government structure as the Roman Empire. Is this the case? Yes. This shows that despite its peaceful appearance, this power will also become a persecutor. The only reason these powers are even mentioned in prophecy is because of their role in religious oppression. So given that the United States is the nation symbolized by the 2-horned beast, then this prophecy is warning that it will one day pass unjust, oppressive laws that restrict the religious freedom of some of its people. He doeth great wonders. In this part of the prophecy that describes the actions of the 2-horned beast, it says, he performs great wonders, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. Here it says that he will perform great wonders. This points to the technological and scientific innovation of the United States. We're clearly living in an age full of amazing technological and scientific advancements, something no one would deny. Also in this verse we see the military might of the United States, in particular its air power dominance. The amazing military and technological might of the United States, which none can deny, clearly fulfills this prophecy. Notices that this power is also used to deceive people. So as you can see, this prophecy identifies the United States, both its form of government, which is like no other nation on earth, its technological and military power, the chronology and location. Hopefully you have enjoyed this nugget of prophecy, and we hope you can see that the prophecies of the Bible always point to great world powers that affect large groups of people in relation to his people, such as Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, and Papal Rome, and now the United States. Thank you for joining us today. Please join us next time when we see what the United States is prophesied to do in the future that will affect the entire world. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you again soon.